All right, and that's a good place to begin our discussion tonight, right here on NewsHour. And tonight, I'm speaking to David Ochieng. He's a member of parliament for Ugenya in the county of Siaya. I call him a rebel with a cause, and I ask, what is his mission tonight? David Ochieng has been in the news for quite a long time, and I must add he's from my alumni also, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. And David, good to see you this evening. Why are you smiling like I shouldn't call you a rebel?
I'm not.
You're part of M23 officially.
I'm not Joseph Konyo or anybody like Savimbi Jonas. No. No.
So you insist down Nyanza you're not perceived as a rebel because you're not towing the line, David.
Which line?
The line that politics toes in Nyanza.
Who drew that line?
You're the only one of the few elected members of parliament. Twice on MDG, you ran against the grain and won the seats, and you've won it again. Yeah. And now the question is, what is David finding his own path? Increasingly, are you taking a different path?
But of course, Ken, I've now run twice in the party called MDG, and you know that. And yes, diversity is good for politics. I came to parliament in 2013, DM. And I did what I could do for my constituents. In that process, I also found my voice, and I also found out what happens in politics. And I thought that rather than wait later, I should start my path that early. And so in 2016, I started the party called MDG, myself alongside other young MPs then, so that we could put our voices together and chart a new path. Unfortunately, in that year, all of us lost elections in 2017.
To the dominant party on the ground.
That's right.
Yes.
Mine was, in quotes, lost, but it was stolen. So, we went to court and won all the way through High Court, Court of Appeal, Supreme Court, and went back and got our seat back. And when we started the party called MDG, we knew that we were going to have hurdles. We knew we were going to have to fight harder than anybody else down there. And so I don't get surprised when we win. Because for you to win, you just have to have focus, in my opinion, serve your people to the best of your ability, knowledge and capacity, know the pulse of your constituency, know what they need, know how to handle those needs, and above all, have a trajectory where you want to go politically.
Okay.
Yes.
The last time I saw you speak prominently, David, was in Parliament, because that was a national stage that was set for you. And you spoke very passionately at that time, voting on majority and minority side. And you made your point that you left as a mayor long before even the election. But I, having covered the election, David, perhaps I saw you on the other side. Now, the reason why I'm asking this question is you took a path that many before you, Raphael Tuju took it, Peter Nyang'nyong at some time took it, James Orengo tried to take it at some point. You're not. What is the reason why Ugenya still stands with you, David?
I would say what I've told you. I think I serve my people.
Is it about service?
No, that's the answer. Let me tell you something, Ken. If you want to go far in politics, the first thing is to understand what your people need. Then number two, to make them also understand the kind of person you are. I try to be as honest as possible with my constituents. I try as much as possible to meet my end of the bargain. If I promise, I always try to meet my end of the bargain. We plan together the things we want to do. We do them. Where I fail, I get time to go back and tell them, I planned this, but this failed. Can you give me more time to deal with this? And so for the last 8 years, I think my constituents will tell you that we work collectively to achieve the things we want to achieve in the constituency. There's nothing hidden. For now, people know what to expect for the next 5 years in my constituency. They know that, there's this road that will have to be fixed, this college will have to be finalized, our children will go to school fees with bursaries and scholarship from this end, our women will get seed and fertilizer. People know what to expect from my leadership. And they have come to terms with the fact that the things we promise, we deliver. Number two, on that score, is that we've also built a cadre of following in the party that we formed. When we started the party in 2016, I went to the constituency and told them that in 2017, I will not run in ODM. And they asked so many questions and told me you can never win without that party. But I told them that if you're going to elect me, then it has to be in this party, not this other one. And
you made it clear from the outset.
I mean, I said to my constituents that if I'm to go back to parliament, I'll go back in MDG. And I didn't give them an option that, oh, I have a chance to go back to the other party. The party that is called MDG was started by me. And so I have to make it grow. And how do you make it grow? By sticking with it. So when we lost the election, and we came to the by-election in 2019, everyone was saying, go back to ODM for you to win. But I said, the party that I started is mine. Who will grow it if I keep on going back and forth?
Yeah.
Yes. So they also came to understand that I want to build a party, and that whatever they say or do, I'll remain with the party region. And what we've done in the constituency, we've built good membership across, especially Western region, and over time, they're going to use the fact that this is the way David wants to do his politics.
Did you form MDG as an alternative to the dominant party in Nyanza?
We formed MDG to be a national party, but we started from grievances that a couple of us had at that time in the party we were in. And so, I don't want to name names, but in 2013, we had the largest number of young MPs from Nyanza. The largest number, I think probably 14.
Elected?
Yeah, out of 27. And we had our issues. If you remember, around June, July, August 2013, there was always news, especially Standard writing about the rotten ODM and all these stories, the broken ODM and all that. We just wanted space in that party at that time, and we thought we were being crowded out. And so when we tried getting our voices in, we were not getting through. So we said, I mean, we can try. We are young. If you don't, make it through the first time, can try the next time, and finally, we'll get somewhere. And that's why in this election again, you saw everyone else trooping into this bigger party. But I stood my guns and said, this is where I want to go. And I believe that the MDG is the future, not just of that region, but of the country.
Okay. Interestingly, in Ugenya, you replaced James Orengo. I want to go to national issues, but I just want to get this out of the way.
That's okay.
Yeah, because there's a lot of questions that have been asked about you, especially after you officially supported the president, President William Ruto's side. So, incidentally, you replaced James Orengo as long-term Ugenya member of parliament.
That's true.
And when he went to the Senate, right? Now he is the Siaya governor. Do you have, let me call it, beef with James Orengo?
I like him. Let me tell you. I joined politics because when we were growing up, James Orengo used to inspire us.
Okay.
I studied law because James Orengo used to inspire us. But what happened is that in 2007, that's the first time when I was probably an adult participating in elections. We came together, so many of us, and again,
that's straight after law school.
Yes,
that's straight after law school.
We had just finished law school.
Yes,
and probably I just started earning, and that time, no, I think I'll say a bad thing. So let me not say what I want to say next. But the 07 elections were quite, can I say, consequential for the constituency. It pitted two very difficult gentlemen. One of them was called Steve Mwanga.
Yes.
And the other one was called James Orengo. We put our lot with James Orengo. And, CDF had just been introduced. The gentleman had been in parliament for long without CDF and all these things. So we thought that, when he comes in and there's now CDF, we could work with him to do a couple of things. And of course, after that, after he won the elections, I personally got a scholarship for a master's abroad. So I stayed out there for 2 years. Then when I came back, I found things the same. And that time he was Minister for Lands. And you could see people fear running against him. And I said, this guy became MP at 24. I was that time 28. I'm going to run against him. Luckily, the new constitution was brought, and Senate and all these seats came, and Ugenya was divided into two. And so I decided to run in that election. And I ran on a platform that I thought that Ugenya was lagging behind in, especially infrastructure, like tertiary institutions, agriculture, roads and all that. And I had a very rich manifesto on what I wanted to do. Yes, so I got no beef with Orengo.
Okay.
It's just our style of politics
are different.
Very different.
Does the age, because you're just early 40.
Yes, I turned 42 today, by the way.
You turned for it. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay. I didn't know it's your birthday. It's okay. Happy birthday, Mohesh. So, Nyanza politics, I'd like to talk about that now. And I asked you specifically if MDG is an alternative, because it offered MDG and the party that Tanzania governor ran on, I'm forgetting the name. No.
Which governor?
Tanzania.
Oh, that's DAP.
Yes. And MDG, they offered quite some alternatives in Nyanza. Soon after the election of President William Ruto, we have seen so many Nyanza leaders trooping into Karen Fast and then State House, and there's so many press conferences. Right now, there's a lot of halabaloo and celebrations about the nomination of Raymond Omolo also, who comes from down there as an interior, very powerful position also. How do you see the young people in this election, led by this team that has been that has publicly supported William Ruto, including former governor, first governor of Nairobi, Governor Dr. Kidero, right? How do you see it playing out for the larger politics of that region?
A couple of things. One, I think sour grapes, people were not treated well, and so people are looking for a place where they would be valued and treated well. Number two is people looking into the future and saying, if you want to grow politically, which side of the policy do you align with? And if you know, I think, Ken, you know my history politically now. So in 2019, after I came back to Parliament in the by-election, I was with NASA. I joined NASA after winning the election. But when they decided to purge the Ruto side of Jubilee coalition, the ODM guys decided that I didn't belong to NASA and kicked me off committees too, without a reason at all. In Parliament for 8 years, no single day did I ever vote with Jubilee as a coalition or as a party from 2013 up to.
Your conscience is clear with that?
I never, no single time did I ever vote with Jubilee as a party or Jubilee as a coalition. Every other time I voted either with CORD or with NASA.
Okay.
Until this Parliament. No single time did I ever vote a motion, a question, or a bill. But there was always this thing that, why does he think he has to be heard? Why does he think that his opinion is important? And so you are circled and basically sequestered that this is a marked guy.
Who are asking these questions?
I've just told you the decision to, for example, tell you that, you know, you're not going to belong committees is made collectively by a party. And so you saw when you went to campaigns in 2022, we're in Azimio, all of us. But then when you get to Nyanza, someone tells you that once you reach Awasi, there's no Azimio. That region belongs to a particular party. They come to my own constituency, where I am, and they say that anybody voting a non-other party candidate is Madowadowa. So how do I become a Madowadowa in one instance? And when I win the election, my vote is very important. When I'm looking for the seat, I'm a Madowadowa. I don't belong. After I win, I'm so important that I should not move elsewhere.
That one vote is very important.
Why should it be important when I'm looking for important when I've won it, but when I'm looking for it, I'm a Madowadowa. I'm a mole. And this has happened to so many people, Ken. The idea that if you have a different opinion, then you are labeled and called names and all this. And that's why I said, instead of being called these names, why don't you just form, and they always dare you, that if you don't agree with us, form your own party. And that's what I did. And I can tell you for sure that, God willing, in this coming election, when you are alive, ours will be the biggest party in that part of the country. Because we've put up and we are putting on structures that will, you know, we don't want to do politics of balkanizing people and saying people must go this way. Like the other day I had my governor saying on TV that somebody can be president in the next 6 months. Or I don't know if you saw the story. But people being told that Raila could be president in the next 6 months or a year, that they should pray. You know, people being lied to in open daylight, that this and this will happen if you pray. No, we want our people to do politics strategically. Do politics knowing that we undo, you're not the only Kenyans. Kenya has 42, 43 tribes. and we must work with them. We must be part of the community that is called Kenya. We must also learn to vote for others if we want others to vote for us. We must build friendships across the board. And so what we intend to do in the coming days, Ken Bijungu, is to make MDG the party of choice, not just for Nyanza people, but for the whole country.
You're looking at going national. Conservative question. It's not in your place, but I'll ask you this. Do you think the future of Nyanza lies with working with President William Ruto, and why?
I see it in two ways.
Yeah.
The future of Nyanza lies in Nyanza people deciding strategically how they want to grow. For this reason, Ken, when I was born in 1980, Nyanza produced sisal, Nyanza produced cotton, fish was vibrant, Nyanza was a net food exporter. Kikomi existed and textile was doing very well. Now as we speak, there's no single cash crop that is making money for people from Nyanza. And so I would imagine that the first thing that we must discuss as people from Nyanza is economic empowerment. How do we pull ourselves up economically? And that's why when I'm sitting with the president, I don't discuss MDG. I discuss how do we bring back cotton? How do we make sugar profitable? How do we bring in sunflower? When the country is getting farm inputs like seed and fertilizer, how do people from Nyanza get their fair share of that? How do we prepare our people? Like, for example, you heard that they're going to launch the Uwezo Fund, the Hustler Fund.
Yeah.
Now, what we do politically is that we don't encourage our people to take advantage of those monies. You're going to be told that that is government money, don't take it.
What do you mean we don't encourage our people?
We don't.
I mean, this is a national conversation.
That's the point I'm making. Yesterday, I was on the TV 2 days ago, and I had an MP from Nyanza saying that people should not take that money as a loan.
Right? But that's clear also that it is. It's not for free.
No.
Yeah.
If you continually tell people that government is bad, you can tell people that you should not work with the government until or unless someone else is in government or is president. Then you balkanize. For so many years, we from Nyanza have been told that Siasa opposition is the best, that government is only good if so and so is inside it. It can't be that way. We must be able to look at what happens between elections, not during elections. We do elections, if the results go the way they go, we pick up the pieces and build economically. And for me, the reason I want us to have now going forward in Nyanza is not who is going to become what in 2027. It's about how do we pull all of ourselves. Again, if you go to any university today, to a law school, or an engineering class, or an economics class, compare the number of Luos in a law school today, Nairobi Law School or Moi University, with what it was 20, 30 years ago, you'll be shocked. That 20, 30 years ago, in a class of 50 guys doing engineering, there will be 12, 13 Luos. Now you'll be likely to get even one in any of these universities.
Why is that so?
Because we become so poor, we can't afford these courses. We become so poor. I mean, our children cannot go to the right school so that they can get the good grades in Form 4. It's a deeper issue.
So even that pride of Luo's learned is
check these
diminishing.
Statistics.
Yeah.
Check these statistics and check how we are performing now. If a child is said that someone became number one in Maseno, check their name. Who are they? So I think that just going to have, not just Nyanza, but the whole of Western region, is that for us to get back to what we were, we must seek economic empowerment, economic capacity building of ourselves. We must, look.
But being a member of parliament, our development, and I say our because I come from Nyanza, is not and should not be predetermined by who you support politically, who is in the seat of power. I mean, that is how it should be.
I've had, I'm sorry to use the word I'm going to use next, but I've had that naivety before. That people think that they can vote another way and then we'll force the government to invest in them after they won. It's not happened in Kenya. We believed it all these years. During Moi's regime, there used to be something stupid called Siasambaya, Maishambaya. Not the best of the analogies that I can use. During Uhuru's regime, the first 5 years, you saw what happened to us. The only time that Uhuru started coming to Nyanza with one or two things was after the handshake. So these are realities that we must live with. The fact that if we don't support the person or the party that wins power, you're backhanded from the word go. Because then, like And I'm sorry to use this example. Like Rigiji said the other day, that they'll give those who voted for them first, then yes,
it's a reality.
It's just natural. It's natural. So this idea that someone said that I'm a taxpayer and therefore I'm going to get entitled to, and for 40 years you've seen that that is not the case, then we must change it. We must be able to say, yes, we've done politics, we voted for the person we wanted, it's okay. But now we must be able to put our case on the table and say, in terms of what will happen between elections, these are our priorities. And who better to put these priorities if not people from that place? But you see, if you make it so difficult, for example, for people from that place to be in other parties than this single party, then we, like I said, we miss out. In the last elections, for example, in this government, when I am in Kenya Kwanza PGs, I'm the only Luo. Only.
You're kidding me?
Yes.
Right now?
Yes.
Like the one that happened to State House?
Yes, I'm the only Luo in that PG. Okay? And so assuming that there is a cake being divided,
even based on numbers
on
only.
That, yes, on that numbers only.
Yeah.
What do you get?
Crumbs.
What do you get? And you see, I'm the only Luo there, but I only wait to speak last, lest I be asked, how many votes did you bring? Because remember, I joined Kenya Kwanza after elections. And so these are some things that are, this is the reality. That we will reap where we sow. That's it. And so, I'm not saying don't vote for so-and-so or don't work with so-and-so. I'm just saying that even us from Western region, Nyanza region, we must learn to diversify our votes politically. If and these are stats that are available. If you went to Eastern Kenya today, there are a couple of MPs from Ukambani Way in Kenya Kwanza legitimately went there early enough and did that. Western Kenya the same, Coast the same. Every other place apart from Nyanza, Luo Nyanza especially. Reason? We've conditioned ourselves that the only way you'll develop is if one of us is president. We've tried that for more than 50 years, Ken. And it's not happened. Something has to give.
Okay. Okay. From what I hear, you're saying for us to realize some level of growth, championed, of course, by the voices such as you have right now. And I'm just saying for us to realize, because I come from that region, I cannot hide from that.
I get you.
Your idea is we have no alternative but to work with the government of the day. That's, if I hear you right.
I don't think we don't have alternatives. We've always had alternatives.
What would that be? What would that be?
To stay where we always stay.
And do we grow?
Stay in the opposition, do opposition politics, push our things, because people say that now Parliament is one of the budgets. And so hopefully that our numbers in Parliament will give us the resources. But remember that budgets, the way they are done, they come from the ministries. Who appoints the ministers? Who appoints the PSS? It's their government. They're prioritizing what they need. And if there's anything that remains, I'm happy that the president now has said that he's going to ensure that everyone in the country gets development equally. But how do you measure that?
You don't think that's just a saying?
No, I believe he's honest and he wants to do it. But who will put that case on the table? So if, for example, out of 27 MPs from Nyanza, I'm the only one who is there. I definitely will be outvoiced all the time, right? But above all, who knows the people of Nyanza's needs apart from their representatives, apart from their governor and their MPs? It's those governors and MPs. They're the ones who know what the people want. Okay? And so I believe that a way must be found.
So this say of I will be a president for all. It's not practical for ground.
But we've heard that from Moi and from Kibaki and from Uhuru, haven't we? In their speeches of victory speeches, they always say that. But has that happened?
It's never been practical.
This is empirical.
Okay.
This is empirical. We just need to be clear-minded on this. And personally, my politics is that what you see is what you get. And that's why I didn't have to go to William Ruto at night. I went there at 10 a.m. in the morning. And I said, I want to work with this part of politics. Because I believe that personally, at a personal level, my future, I can see guys who can mentor me. The president himself is available. You can sit with him and tell him, this is what I want to do. How do I go about it? Okay? There's no elbowing like where I was before. And he wants to listen to you and get to know what you have. Even what's happening now, the Hustler Fund and all this happening. They'll seek your opinion to get to know what you're thinking and all that. Now, I'm not saying that Nyanza people should join government. I'm not saying that they must join government for them to get what they need. The only thing I'm saying is that we must get a way of getting our points across. We must get a way. If the biggest investor in an economy is the government, if whether you'll get water or steamer or a road depends on what government plans. Then you must not defect, in my opinion, but a way must be found for us to be able to talk to each other. A way must be found for us to be able to discuss these things openly, so that if I go to Nyanza tomorrow and say, I'm in Kenya Kwanza, this is what you think in Kenya Kwanza. You guys in Azimio, this is what you think. Can we have a meeting point on what is going to be done for our people? Okay. You understand this? For example, we got counties too. I'm
going to talk about counties. Okay. Before we go to counties, the other voice that I heard the other day is Karoli Omondi, who worked with the former Prime Minister very closely. But sort of not in your very words, but that's the same thing he was saying. No one is going to show me a way to State House. He knows the way. He's the one who has done all these things, whatever he said. So increasingly, we see that is this an awakening call? Is it a realization that if we have to get something meaningful and tangible in the next 5 and possibly 10, this is the way to go?
Two things, the way I look at it. First, the frustration on the side of Azimio that things would have gone a different way if everyone was involved. Things would have gone a different way if people listened to each other. And so what I hear most is the frustration that we are not doing the right thing. That's why we keep being beaten. That even where there's clear indication that if we did things differently, we would win, we keep doing things the wrong way. And so Karoli is just a tip of the iceberg. If you paraded the Luo MPs here today and asked their opinion about where the world is going, you'll be shocked at what they want to say. But I also don't believe that we must kill democracy to get development in our places. I just believe that people can be responsible in the opposition, just like in the government they can be, but a way must be found, and I insist on that, beyond the personalities. A way must be found to ensure that our people from Nyanza see government as a friend. Our people from Nyanza see government as an institution that you can work with to better your life.
Okay. There are several positions of in the executive that have been given to people from that region. Do you believe that's also a voice that can contribute? You're just one in the political scene. These are technocrats, majority. If you tell me from a whole PG, you're the only Luo, but I look at the cabinet, I look at the close people who are working with the president, and I see several people from your region also. Do you believe that is also a voice that might be able to amplify what you're trying to do?
It's so encouraging, Ken, to know that there are people out there who believe that, from the word go, Owalo was in Kenya Kwanza. From the word go, my friend Raymond Omolo is the CEO of LBDA, but leaning Kenya Kwanza. My friend Kombudo, who we worked with a long time in the consultancy world, was part of the team that did the Kenya Kwanza manifesto. So they were there by choice already from the word go. And I believe that their being there is very important for getting the voice of that region.
Not for personal interest?
No. These are people I've spoken to. And they are very passionate about the fact that they want to ensure that their being there is not for their personal reasons. It's to ensure that our people are able to be, even if it means speaking them slowly in language that they understand, that this is how government works and this is how we can get help. I'm talking about things like this, Ken, that now, if you looked at the landscape of the country, about who owns banks, is there a bank that you can trace to Nyanza province, or an insurance company that you can trace to Nyanza province, or some industry that you can trace to Nyanza province? But if you go to these banks and insurance companies and financial institutions, the managers, the top-level guys, you're from Nyanza, but we don't own any. So we need to start having discussions about
even a major media house.
No, none. But you guys are here managing these media houses for other people. So the idea is this: is Sony Sugar viable? Can it continue working? And we sit down with the government and say, no, we're not going to allow you to only put 1 billion because that is a drop in the ocean. We want to have a proper plan where you invest 5 billion into this sugar industry. If it cannot work, then are we able to revive Kikomi? If it can't work, what is the alternative industry? I've just...
The other day they sent money for fish farming. 1 billion shillings.
No, that's not money for fishing. What they are setting up in Kabonyo and Kisumu is a training center.
Or a training center.
Yes, for generally for aquaculture, fisheries, and blue economy generally. Now, what we are hoping that within these 5 years, based on discussion we're going to have, we can get an investor to come and set up a fish industry in that region that is viable, not carrying fish from Lake Victoria to come and process in Thika.
We don't even have fish in Lake Victoria. But how does that make you think that one of the cabinet memos, one of the first actions from the cabinet, one of the very first, is to take it down to an area that predominantly did not support that president?
This was a request that was made much earlier. Okay. But
they could have delayed it.
That's true. That's true. But it sends you the right signals, if you ask me, that the president is intentional on what he wants to do. The second place he went to pray was in Homa Bay. He's exactly there with him.
Yes.
He doesn't have issues with anybody. He wants to create friendship and networks across the board. And he says, what can we do together as a people, based on the limited resources that we have? Because if the coast people are looking for something, Eastern is looking for something, Kikuyu land and all these people are looking for something. Even us from Nyanza, we should be able to say, much as we say in Luo, we don't beg. We say we live whether they're there or not. Dak makati yonge. Okay? Yeah, but we must be able to say, much as we dak makata yonge, there are things that we need in our part of the country. Young people are looking for jobs. Are we able to set up 1 or 2 industries in that part of the country? If you set up one in Siaya, set up one in Homa Bay, set up one in Kisumu, and one in Migori, you mop up guys and people get to work.
Yeah. You have mentioned something that I need to go to now, because the next best alternative, devolution is a right. The Nyanza counties are 4: Kisumu, Siaya, Homa Bay, and Migori. You've just mentioned setting up industry, but I'll take you to Siaya. Perhaps you might remind me what's happening in Siaya. But Kisumu, we have fish, we have Kikomi.
Yes.
Just right there at the corner. Something that can be revived.
Whether Kikomi is not there.
It's not there, but the factory is still, you can say it when you drive. When you drive, you can see it on your right.
I've been there.
What is that building written?
It's now a car park.
It's now a car park. But you can see there was something here.
Yes.
You can see there was something here, written Kikomi. When you go to Homa Bay, there's fish.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There is tourism, Lambwe and all those things.
Yes.
When you go to Migori, there's Sony Sugar. Then there's Makalda mining and all those other things. I mean, they have a starting point. So the next best alternative, Mohesh, what is it for these counties, if at all? The governor from Siaya, ODM, governor for Homa Bay, ODM, governor for Migori, ODM, governor for Kisumu, ODM. These are the next possible alternatives for this area, right? What is it that the Nyanza counties can do if they don't want to follow this route that you have taken?
I just think that they could sit together and have a blueprint for the Lake region. There is currently a grouping called the LREB, the Lake Region Economic Bloc, that brings together 14 counties. But I thought the 4 of them could already, just the 4 governors you mentioned, could already sit together and say, what can we do as the Luo Nyanza governors together that will get our people out of poverty? And initially, by the way, you don't even want to start an industry. Initially, just rally up people around an idea. That look, EABL is buying sorghum. Okay? Give people sorghum seed. Let them plant. Support them. Let them do this. Rivertex now is importing cotton from India. Cotton does very well in Nyanza. All our countries need to do is, before you start an industry, just get our people good cotton seed, good fertilizer, and proper extension services. Train guys. Let guys know this is how we're going to make this work. I've gone to Eldoret 2 weeks ago to Rivertex because it's something I'm very passionate about. I believe that our people must get a cash crop, and I'll tell you why shortly. You see, if you have 10 acres of cotton, within 6 months you're harvesting. After the first harvest, 3 months you harvest, another 3 months you harvest. And these guys want to come and pick this thing at the farm because it's not there. And you've been told that the soil in Nyanza is good for cotton. So the counties will devolve agriculture. So the county governments can legitimately buy cotton seed, legitimately subsidize fertilizer, and rally people to say, this is what you want to do for the future. For this season, Ken, in the last 15 years, the kind of subsidies that has gone into coffee and tea and miraa, if you know how much has gone in there, these are cash crops. They just say, our crop has failed, help us. Dairy, you know how much has gone into those areas. So assuming that Nyanza today is supposed to tell government something has not happened, what is it?
Sugar is not happening.
What is it?
Yeah.
Sugar, I mean, for me, it is a political crop. It's not a crop that someone can be rich with. But you need to get crops that can help people. If it's sunflower for making
When I was
oil,
born, sunflower, my home area were 3 products: sugarcane, sunflower, and tobacco.
And sunflower can do very edible oils. They always talk about, for example, that the egg in Western Kenya, all the egg we eat from there is from Uganda. What is the reason? That Uganda has a very good industry that makes animal feed cheaply. So that where Ugandan doing basic farming would spend 5 shillings to produce 1 egg, a Kenyan has to spend 7 or 8.
And then charge higher.
Yeah, it has to because of the cost of production. If you go to just across the border, ginger here, someplace, just across the border, I see people coming from Kenya to go to buy animal feed in Uganda. Reason is that at some point in time, Ken, we lost what we call extension officers, people who would help. So assuming, for example, today you want to start a dairy farm in your place in Migori, who do you go to? Who helps you from government that sets up? So our countries have been there now for the last more than 10 years, and we don't have those people.
And agriculture is fully developed.
So for me, a way must be found, first of all, to rally our people around an idea.
Okay.
Whether it's farming, whether it's fishing, and all that. For example, in Siaya, you know the project, the Dominion project.
Yes, I know. Is it alive? No.
Ken, it's a huge thing. It's a thing that could feed all of Nyanza if we put our mind to it and say that we want to invest in this for the posterity. Get a private investor like the one who was there. Don't harass him. Give him room and environment to operate. Just partner with him and allow people to buy shares in there so that the county owns it, the people own it as their own thing. The jobs that are going to be provided there are so many. But above all, food security becomes guaranteed. I've seen in the last few days, the Governor Nyong'o trying very hard with the hyacinth and you know, the fisheries. And you only wish there was this blueprint that people can follow and say, this is where we are going, so that it doesn't depend on someone's magnanimity. The other day I saw the Honorable Wanga launching Mokwa.
Yes.
Yeah? An industry for, you know, making maize meal. And that could be huge, depending on how you invest, because it's a private investor. It's not a county investment as such. But it could be huge if minds were put together and you want to do it economically, not for political reasons. Because we must separate elections and the life between elections. So for me, that's where I wish we could focus on. We are having a serious youth bulge that is not able to afford fees to go to school, and we are losing a whole generation. And I can tell you this, most of this is happening because people have been told that your lot will be better when so-and-so becomes president.
Which has not been practical
for
close to 6 years.
It's not going to happen soon. We need to realize that we have to pull ourselves up with our bootstraps with what we have at our disposal.
You're saying it's not going to happen soon, and some leaders on the ground saying it's going to happen. Believe, pray.
No. I mean, Ken, politics in this country is so predictable. Very predictable. Politics in this country is very predictable. I want to spend the next 5 years building economic empowerment where I can, providing the tools for doing that. As I build the party that I started, to ensure that in future we can discuss ideas, we can discuss policy arrangements. Because we cannot have a situation where you go to Turkana, you are telling them that you're going to help them do like Turkana, do this. You go to Eastern, you tell them when you become president, this will happen. But when you come to Nyanza, you tell them that this is your chance. You don't talk about policy, you don't talk about what people are supposed to do. So I believe that we should rally our people around agriculture, around youth empowerment, around things that better their lives.
Okay.
Let me give you an example, Jeff. Ken, sorry. In my constituency, in the last 8 years, I've spent time and resources investing in tertiary institutions. In the next 4 months,
I can hear you. Yes.
In the next 4 months, we're going to be opening our College of Agriculture. And the College of Agriculture is the 5th college I've built in the last 10 years. This College of Agriculture, the reason we brought it to Ugenya is that we want it to, the first 6 months of that college operation will only be teaching people in vernacular.
Really?
We'll bring women, we'll bring people who want to learn how to do cotton farming. People want to learn how to do poultry. Want to learn how to do dairy, but we want to do it in vernacular. I've negotiated with the government that the first 6 months of the College of Agriculture in Ugenya will only use vernacular. We'll bring people, train them how to do local farming. Make sure that they're able to do these things, provide room for incubation of ideas and projects, so that we are able to get people seeing how stuff is done, and they learn how to do stuff, and they can become self-employed. It's the same thing I've done with the Forestry College, which will be launching again in March. You've heard things about climate change and environment. I intend to invest in a forestry college because I believe the future is in that area.
Is that supported?
By?
Through the framework of being a member of parliament?
Yes, I'm doing these things with CDF.
Okay, with CDF.
CDF does it. What's this what we do? You build it in CDF, and the government takes over, and they become public institutions that run and get students from all over the country. But the idea here, for example, for the forestry college is also to help people invest in agroforestry, to help people invest in creating new forests. And I believe by training people at school, but also getting these guys going out to the villages, making guys...
And in a language they understand.
They understand. For me, that is very important. We need to start talking to our people, not just language that they understand, but intentionally telling them that this is where the future lies, not in politics.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Now that we have about 10 minutes on the clock, and I'm being told I can't let you go without talking about a very pertinent issue that is probably our headline. We'll try and get a paper here before we end the show. The issue of NGCDF.
Yes.
It's a big thing, and it's pitting two arms of the government.
That's right.
The president is saying go slow. The PG today, I guess, he said go slow on this because the court has ruled on the vetting.
No.
On the vetting.
On the vetting, yes.
On the vetting, yes. But the other thing the president should have addressed is the fact that this was declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Why are the members of parliament pushing and even threatening to sabotage government business if the CDF is not released to them?
So this is the position, Ken, and both of us are lawyers. So there are two CDF acts, one of 2013 and one of 2015. So the one that the court declared unconstitutional is the one for 2013. That for 2015 is still in court today. It's not been declared unconstitutional. There's no judgment or any finding of the courts on it as we speak. And so when you heard Honorable Ichung'wa talking about the Treasury releasing money, it's on the strength of the 2015 Act, not the law that the court struck down.
Okay.
As we speak, there is a process that's been initiated before the Assembly to make the CDF constitutional. And how do you go about it? By entrenching it in law. The bigger issue that the court has raised, that I don't hear so many people talking about, we just say, CDF constitutional and all this. What the court is saying is, can you get a way of getting the MP's hands off the CDF? That's the biggest issue. Yeah. And that's what must be addressed. And the question that you want to ask yourself is this: has anybody done any, survey or anything about CDF and any other devolved funds? If you did a survey today or tomorrow about devolved funds in this country, CDF will give you 90%. Reason is that it sorts out the needs of the people there, then, and in a very transparent manner. If it's bursaries, if I don't give good bursaries, I'm finished. If the CDF in Ugenya doesn't process the bursaries the right way, people know. Because they know amount of money that is given yearly. The kind of schools that have been built using CDF, I mean, what CDF has done cannot be gainsaid. The Supreme Court is saying, remove MP's hands from it. Put it to the county government. To the counties. And we are saying no. Why? Because we know what it is, and we know what is achieved, and we know what the county government has achieved. Because it's your pocket money as members of parliament. Let me tell you something about that, by the way. And this, again, I can carry the Bible. That this is my 10th year in parliament. I've never asked a contractor for money for the CDF projects. I don't use it. I run a law firm. I'm in insurance. I do so many things that will give me resources. Okay? So there could be problems with one or two constituencies having issued the CDF, but I believe that by and large, the most effective devolved resource is a CDF. It doesn't matter what you think on this, Ken, whether you think the MPs, I mean, MPs are Kenyans.
They are, but there must be a rationale. There must be a reason why, in the wisdom of the highest court in the land, CDF should not be in the hands of members of parliament.
We disagree, and that's why we want to put it in the law.
You disagree because you want it.
I mean, who doesn't want anything? Who doesn't want to control resources if they're a leader?
Is that because there is no other point of touch with the locals apart from CDF that endears members of parliament?
We've just discussed with you a very important matter here, Ken, about the county governments. Just do a basic comparison between what the county governments do or have achieved and what CDF has achieved. Every year, for example, Ugenya, and I think now it's almost equal to every constituency, we receive 137 million
yes,
per year. As in Ugenya, we put 40 million in bursaries. Okay? Then the rest, you're going to have like another 70, 80 million shillings remaining for classrooms. And this is the money that I've used to build 5 colleges in my constituency.
You have 5 colleges?
Teachers' colleges, I built in 2013-14. Complete, they gave it to government. Finished that, build a medical training college. Using CDF, 100% land and construction, gave to government. The technical colleges that we are building, we bought land, gave 10 million shillings, government gave 40. Forestry college, 100% CDF. The College of Agriculture that I've told you about, partnering with the national government, we bought land, put in seed money, government brought in 50, 60 million shillings. It's now almost complete. It's done so many things in those areas. Let me give you an example. See, when devolution came, and the late Honorable President Kibaki thought that the best place for devolution would have been the constituencies. Look at it this way, that if you went to Migori today with, is it 8 constituencies?
Thereabout, yes.
About 8, and say they receive 7 billion.
They receive actually 10 billion.
If you receive 10 billion in a year, and say you just cut off and give every constituency just $500 million a year. $500 million.
A year.
A year, and put a staff of just 10 to run it. How much could be achieved at the constituency level? Because every county is saying they'll be thumped with ghost workers, HR bills, recurrent expenditure. Why don't we cut that recurrent expenditure, put in development? If with 137 million, Ken, the only money you're allowed to use for administering that fund is 5%. You can't go beyond 5%. What is 5% of 137 million? And it's run well, and everyone sees the results of it, and it's very easy.
Yes. A whole year you spend about 5%, about 13 million to run it.
Yes, but then you have this devolution that has come and replicated the whole of government, national government structure. That the government is the president, the CECs are the ministers, the CEOs are the PSS. Then under them there's a director, assistant director, then there's a field officer. For what reason? You get it? So what we must be looking at, in my opinion, is how do we make our devolution leaner and free up more money for development? You get it? And so for me, CDF, much as people don't want MPs to touch it, I don't have a problem with the MPs not touching it. But if there's a model through which a person knows that my bursary is at this office, if I go there within 3, 4, 5 weeks or 2 weeks, I have my bursary, this is the person responsible, I'll be happy.
Okay. Okay. So it's an area that members of parliament are not going to compromise.
No negotiations on that one. On CDF, I can
What does the president say about it?
If you listen to his speech that he came to parliament and gave, he spoke about it and said we must get away from entrenching it. He said it himself. Check his speech when he came to parliament last time.
Not as a reward to the members of parliament?
Even today, not as a reward. I mean, I've always wondered, Ken, if you wanted to get a member of parliament who has stolen CDF money, you will get them and arraign them. Yeah? I don't think there should be rumors about so and so stealing money and there's no evidence, or there's nobody who has been shown to have stolen money. Or even if there have been, we have 290 constituencies. Pick for us 5, 6 that have done this and use this and say, this we're going to use as a good example to ensure that this money should be used the right way. But the issue again of Kenyans, you elect your leaders in August, in September they are very bad already.
You realize it's not working.
All of a sudden, then you bring in new ones. Again, this is, which part of MPs are this? We are Kenyans. Let me tell you the truth. No one would lie to you. There's no other better Kenyans than the ones you see in parliament. If you brought in new ones, they represent you.
Same thing.
They represent you.
Okay.
And so you're not going to get MPs from Finland or from Hungary or somewhere else to be our MPs.
All right. Finally, in about 4 minutes, the proposal that is likely to come by Kuria East Member of Parliament.
Yes.
increase of constituencies.
Yes.
From 47 to 52.
Oh, that's counties, yes.
Yeah, counties, sorry.
Yes.
From 47 to 52 counties.
Yes.
Your thoughts on that? First as a lawyer, secondly as a practicing politician, and lastly as Kenyan.
I chat with Kitayama today, actually, at the PG, and I wanted to understand what it is about and all this. And I think what he's trying to address that is very important is exclusion. Look at it this way, Ken. That Kitayama will come from your county. Kuria has 2 constituencies.
East and West.
East and West. Then they have around them 6 Luo constituencies. So according to him, and realistically so, there's no chance for a Kuria ever being governor. If you look at the trend that happened. Okay? But the same question is answered in Busia. That in Busia also, there are only 2 Teso constituencies.
Yes.
Teso South and Teso North. But with their minority, the first governor for Busia, who served 2 terms, is a Teso. So a way must be found to look and get inclusion and inclusivity in the way we run our affairs. I don't think dividing and dicing our counties into more pieces will help. But the best way would be, because I had people saying that they also want an Imenti county in Meru because they think the other sides are...
That's another one, because it was Mwingi, Baringo, Busia,
you understand?
Bungoma,
so if everyone is going to look for their own counties, they become very, very unviable
but they're entitled to ask for it as Kenyans.
They are entitled to ask for it, but you know the reason we capped them in the constitution. And this would
he says there was no scientific method of...
This would require a referendum.
Yes.
You know, constituencies are capped at 290. Again, to move
because of the boundaries,
require a referendum. And shortly, the reason this is important is that shortly, next year, there will be a mandatory review of boundaries in this country, by law, by IBC. Okay? And so this must be looked at in that regard. But the most important thing that, personally, I believe Kitayama's bill brings out is exclusion, especially in counties where we have minorities, like say Isiolo. Isiolo has a number of Turkana people living in there, and a way must be found to ensure that the Turkanas are also able to be governor or be senator or something like that.
Because I sat with him and I asked him if there would be on Monday an alternative way of achieving what you still want to achieve, without necessarily dividing. But he's so adamant because same thing you say, when people sit on the table in Migori to make decisions, there's no Kuria on that table. They're all Luos. So if you say that point, how does it tie in? How does it satisfy his need?
I've given you the example of Teso.
Of Teso, yes.
People might just sit and say, yes, we are now in our 15th year of devolution, 3 Luo governors. Can we now have a Kuria governor? And get the big party there to nominate a Kuria to become governor? I think a way must be found to get devolution working by ensuring that these minorities are included. Because look at it this way, if you have Samburu County with 2 constituencies, Lamu with 2 constituencies, Isiolo with 2 constituencies, Amadas with 3 constituencies, are they viable economically? You know, so I'm hoping that I'm able to convince Kitayama that the best way to do it is to find another way of including the Kurias in Migori into the county leadership without necessarily tinkering with the county boundaries. But it's a very emotive issue. Exclusion can be extremely uncomfortable, very painful. If you know that whatever I do, however I do it, I'll never rise to that position because of tribe, nothing else. And that's why this must be addressed in a very deliberate manner, intentional manner.
Okay. I'm happy because we have run out of time. In fact, today we don't even want to play the video of the week. But I'm glad the president addressed also the issue of changing the constitution today to possibly give a 3rd term, not even to him, but just to extend and base it on age. As your thoughts on that?
I believe the MP.
I know
I believe the MP was looking for attention. I believe so, and I have nothing else to say on that issue.
That was it.
Look, even if the president wanted to change the term, as we speak, he has no capacity to do it.
He cannot do it.
No.
We'll have to go back to the constitution.
He can't. You know, and Ken, let me tell you something about our country. We moved so far, there are things will never see happening in this country.
You believe it? There is no way.
Like people agreeing that now we're removing 10 years to 15 or life. We've moved.
Or we cap it at age. We don't cap, like the judiciary, for example. It's capped at age. The first head of judiciary that is possibly going to serve 2 terms under the current constitution is Martha Koome because of the age.
The age, that's right.
Because Willie Mutunga was Almost.
He did 4 years.
Yes, 4 years.
4 and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the constitution, the way it is on the term limit for me, it's okay. 10 years, go home, let someone else run the country, affairs of the country. And look, Ken, next elections, we do what happened in this last elections, 2022, where things are peaceful, results are announced and all that. We plateau.
Exactly.
We get to a place where people know the elections will come and go, but we have our lives to live. And that's where I want Kenya to go. So the elections don't become a matter of life and death. And there are some things we should stop imagining. Yeah, people should live with the constitution the way it is.
Okay.
Yeah, today at the PG, for example, the president said yes, he would love to have his PSS. But the courts have said, stop the vetting.
And he agreed with it.
He has to stop it. Because that is the rule of law. There's no two ways about it. Okay? And some of us who he listens to will always put him on the straight and the narrow. That where law is concerned, he has to comply.
Okay. He has a long time and he's so by the constitution. So as we end, the paper today, this is your copy, advanced copy. You get to receive the standard first. Yes. Members of Parliament set stage for big clash with CJ Koome. This is what we spoke about.
Yes.
All eyes will be on the AG, Justin Muturi, after the Treasury said it was ready to begin disbursing the 2 billion national government CDF cash weekly, subject to legal advice. How the AG decides could trigger the first major clash with the Supreme Court, which ruled that the fund is unconstitutional. And you have explained that. Bill Gates' mission in Kenya is also in the standard. And petition to remove Chebukati has reached the speaker. I mean, to remove Chebukati now. The other one, yes, the other one was also there. 4 petitions. And Turkana sold for 426, oil sold for 426 million. So there are several stories here. But I guess the splash here is the stage that is set for a big clash with CJ Koome. You're not preempting anything. How do you see Justin Muturi?
He will advise that money be sent to the constituencies.
Because he was in Parliament.
Not because because the law requires that the law that is applicable now, what I've told you, is the 2015 law. That law is in the High Court. It's not in the Supreme Court. The challenge on the 2015 law is at the High Court as you speak.
Okay.
Yeah. The law that was declared unconstitutional is the 2013 law. That's the law that has gone through the stages and reached the Supreme Court. Now, the 2015 law is still at the High Court. Okay? So, technically, there's nothing blocking the Treasury. In fact, even this thing of waiting for ages advice is a red herring.
No, you just want to do the right thing.
It's a red herring.
All right, your final thoughts, Mheshimiwa, as we leave. The politics, how you play politics, your mission, your larger mission, as you summarize.
No, thank you so much. I just want to say that I really want to thank Kenyans for being very peaceful in the last elections, and I hope this continues so that we build our democracy based on trust. We do elections and move on to other better things to do in our lives. Number 2 is, like I've told you, I've now been MP 3 terms, Ken. I'll be looking to do other things in future. I can't be MP forever. I want other young people to also come the way I came. And so my next mission is to build the MDG party into a national behemoth, a national movement that in future can propel us to bigger seats in this country.
Okay. Please grab your copy of the Standard.
Thank you so much.
Better headline. Grab your copy tomorrow. As soon as the stroke of midnight, they'll be on the road. My name is Ken Mijungu. Thank you so much for watching NewsHour. We do this again next week. Same place, same time. We'll have another great guest. The issues of this country fundamental right at the fore of our discussion each and every night. And this has been NewsHour. On behalf of the whole team, I'm Mheshimiwa David Ochieng, who incidentally is also my friend. Have a good night. God bless. Let's find another time to do this.